Hello and welcome to Center Court here on Spinnaker Television. I'm Alex Gatlin alongside Ryan Hennessy as always. And Jonathan Harkey, thank you for joining us this morning. He is the digital media coordinator for North Florida Athletics. So we're going to get right into it with athletics, and we're going to talk about the Florida Gulf Coast game. Yeah. It was a little bit of a disappointment.
A little?
Little bit.
A little bit. It was a pretty big disappointment.
Well, yeah, you have an opinion about this. Go ahead and go into it.
I mean, it was just, that's an understatement, a little bit of a disappointment. I think we pretty much expected to go to the tournament again. I think we were the best team in the tournament. I'm very good friends with Coach Driscoll, but I'm not going to shy away from the truth of the matter is we completely laid an egg. I think the score was completely embarrassing. I was embarrassed to be in the stands that game, and that's the truth. I mean, and I'm not speaking. I'm not giving an emotional response. That's the truth. I was there with students in the student section, and that was an embarrassing game. I mean, you can't, to me, be the best team in the league and expect to win the tournament and put up only 56 points and let FGCU do that to you. I mean, we didn't score a point until, I think, 6 minutes into the second half.
We had a two-pointer, but it was like a very long span where we didn't score like at all.
They ended the first half, I think, on it was like a 32-17 run, and then they started the second half on a 17-2 run. So really, it was just that snowball effect where you get to halftime and you're down 14, and you were up 7 points at the under 8.
You were up 12 in the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
And go ahead, I don't.
And then I think Gulf Coast made some great adjustments. Like every time, like Dallas had 12 of the first 19 points for UNF, and then every time he touched the ball, they trapped him once he tried to go to the left. Like they kept trapping him. So someone else had to dribble the ball inside, and then usually you give that either to the Davenport or like Beach or stuff like that. And when I think one of the biggest things was they started shooting, like we got into the bonus, 13 minutes left in the first half. Gulf Coast is a very foul-happy team. If you guys watched the final on Sunday, like you could see that.
Eddie Norelia fouled out, one of their best players, I think.
They were in overtime.
Yeah, they went. It was hard going into overtime without some of your best players.
But you get into the bonus at 13 minutes left, and you start trying to shoot. You get to the foul line, and that's how you pull away from a team in that first half. At least get like nice cushion, so when you know that team's going to come at you with another run because they're very well capable of it. That way, at least you have a cushion to get to brace yourself against.
I had two issues about this game that really concerned me. And we talked about the game, the semifinal or the quarterfinal game, where what is the identity of this team? Is it threes? Because in our quarterfinal game, Chris Davenport came down the court and showed his presence against the big man. Okay, and then in this game, we completely changed what our identity was, and Dallas Moore took over at the beginning of the game. So for a team changing it up every game, do you think that is the way to do it? I mean, and you talk about Trent Mackey. I mean, he's had great success at UNF, but I have seen nothing but, and I'm not trying to be rude here to any players. I think they've had it, but I'm speaking to the students. People have talked to me about this. I have seen nothing but Trent Mackey in the big game get nervous, and he put up a goose egg tonight. What happens with that team? Do they need to call timeouts more? And look, FGCU shots were falling. There's no doubt about that.
And they're a great team too.
They are a great team, but we're a better team. Shots were falling though for them, and that's the truth. I do believe we're the best team in the conference, but everything was going in at the second half for them, and there's no shying away from that. But what happened with Trent Mackey is my question. You know, where was Bo Beach at the last half of this year? I mean, and those are the questions that will always be asked about this team, and it's a disappointment going to the NIT. But I'm not going to shy away from those questions. And if you want,
I mean, like if you look at like the Trent Mackey, Bo Beach thing, where are they? The same thing happened last year in the Eastland Championship. It was one of the sloppiest games I've ever seen in basketball in general between two teams that were considered the best in the conference. Like you had the conference's best player.
They had the best player. We had what 2 or 3 of the all first team.
Right.
So.
And Bo Beach had 0 points or 1 point. I think he made a free throw and had 9, but he made up with 9 rebounds. Trent didn't have any points at all in I think either the semifinal or the final. Like it was basically like I think Driscoll made a comment basically Bo Beach and Trent Mackey were guarding each other. So neither one of them was scoring. But you made up for it with like a glue player like a Jalen Nesbitt, and DeMarcus Daniels comes in and wins that championship. But I think going back to the semifinal, every good team can have one of those games where like mistakes get made and then snowballs because the other team is able to take advantage of those. And Gulf Coast was able to do that in a big way just by crashing the boards, getting into the paint. They out-rebounded us by like 20-some. But they had our number, I think, for the last basically 3 halves going back to the second half in Fort Myers, because we had the lead at that point after being down 22-4. And you go in there, and then Golf goes like, we just need to beat them in the paint. And that's what they did. And shots were, and even when they actually got out to the perimeter, shots were falling for them. You can't do anything about that as it keeps snowballing.
So speaking of goose eggs, Golden State also laid a huge goose egg against probably one of the worst teams in the NBA right now, the LA Lakers. And it was the win percentage-wise, the biggest upset ever. It was the only time a team that was that won over 90% of their games lost to a team that won only 19% or something like that. And I thought that was kind of interesting. The 95 Bulls also had a little bit of a situation like that with the Toronto Raptors, very, very late in the season. What do you think this is going to be a big deal for the Warriors?
Absolutely not.
No?
I don't even know why we're talking about it. They're the best team in the league. They're going to win the championship.
You're going to hand it to them right now.
Absolutely.
Steph Curry gets the MVP.
No one's not going to vote for
question
Steph Curry.
about that one.
There's no question about that. I think the Lakers had a good game, just like this FGCU game. I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think this means anything. If you're trying to chase history, maybe it might affect it a little bit with the Bulls, but they're not the Bulls. I mean, there's a difference with them, and you talk about what happened. The Lakers aren't a good team, but they have some young players. And you talk about Jordan Clarkson, he just went off. I mean, Jordan Clarkson's been playing good games.
D'Angelo Williams had a great game,
D'Angelo
too.
Williams had a good game. Kobe, put up 12, I think.
But that's what you're going to
Yeah,
expect.
exactly. I mean, they had a good game. Steph Curry, the big story is Steph Curry and Klay Thompson went 1 for something from 3. It was 1 for 20.
I think Steph Curry went 1 for 10 from 3.
Yeah, and Klay Thompson didn't score anything. So that's a story. I mean, they didn't hit their shots, and obviously a team like that, if they don't hit their shots, it's not going to win the game. I mean, you're not going to win with Andrew Bogut. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So this was just a fluke, is what you guys
absolutely.
are saying. All right.
I mean,
so with that being said, they are in both of your minds undoubtedly the best team. Who in the West? And we'll get to who in the East in a second. But who in the West will give them that competition, maybe in the playoffs?
I mean, I think with the West, there's only 2 teams. It's really the Thunder
Absolutely.
and the Spurs. Like the Thunder is because they run their offense through their point guard, much like the Warriors do. I mean, everything is built through Steph Curry. With the Thunder, everything's built through Russell Westbrook. I mean, you have Kevin Durant on the wing or driving into the paint, who's got sharpshooting skills for a 6'10" man. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
The guy's a freak of nature.
Well, he could jump out of the gym too.
Yeah. And the Spurs though is that they can always beat you with fundamental basketball. That's how they will always compete for a championship, no matter how old they are or how bad you think they really are. Like if they take a game off in the regular season, fundamental basketball can beat you just of the way that they can work you inside and just take all of the time that you think that they would. I guess they take all of the shot clock.
Yeah.
And they work you. They find somebody to just okay, he's their baller. Let's just go after him an entire game.
I completely agree with you. I think there's only 2 teams. It's obviously going to be the Spurs. The Spurs are going to give them more of an issue. Unfortunately, unless Billy Donovan can take them over that hump that the Thunder's been always going through with not really getting it done, because they have the talent, by far have the talent to win a championship. But I think the Warriors are a tough team to beat. I don't see anyone beating them. I can see the Spurs, and that's it. No one in the East.
So no one in the East.
You have to play 4 perfect games against the Warriors, and they have to have 4 off nights for a series win to happen.
Yeah.
So then, who will be handing the Golden State Warriors the trophy in the finals? Who's going to?
It's obviously going to be the Cavaliers.
You think the Cavs?
Oh,
not even Toronto?
No way, man. That's not even a question. I mean, they're the best team in the East by far. They have LeBron James. They have the best point guard, one of the best point guards in the East, in Kyrie Irving. They match up well against the Warriors in the 1 and the 3. But if Klay Thompson, I don't think J.R. Smith can guard Klay Thompson. I don't think there's any shot. He's got way better this year. I mean, and look at. They got Verjao now. And I know that's not a big thing, but you talk about one guy, a matchup. You're laughing, but you talk about a matchup problem. You saw what happened with Iguodala.
Yeah.
I mean, Iguodala is a better player than Verjao, but you talk about one player in a series that can really mess with the player. I mean, you never know with Mozgov or, that could really affect the game. Mozgov went off in the finals last year with them. He was a key to their team. Granted, they didn't have Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving, but I don't see them. I don't see the Cavs really getting it done this year.
I think it's so interesting that at the end of the season last year, people were saying, "Oh, the Golden State Warriors, they're not that good. The Cavs will come back next year when they've got Kyrie and they've got Love back, and they'll dominate the NBA Finals against them." And now it looks like, oh my gosh, that's not true at all. But Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break right here. When we come back, we're going to get into NFL free agency, followed by our top 5 quarterbacks of all time. That's all coming up right here, right now on Spinnaker Television.
Blake Bortles.
You're watching Spinnaker Television.
Attention students! Spinnaker is proud to announce the launch of its new streaming service. Now, no matter where you are on campus, you can watch any Spinnaker movie with just the click of a button for free. So whether you're alone in your dorm, studying in the library, or hanging out with some friends, you will always have some of the best box office hits ready to watch. You can access this streaming site by going to movies.spinnakertv.com and clicking on the movie you would like to watch. So make some popcorn, pull up a chair, and enjoy your movie with Spinnaker Television.
Hey Ospreys! If you haven't visited unfspinnaker.com lately, you missed out on our coverage of a 50-acre wildfire near UNF and the outbreak of the flu on campus. Coming up this week is an in-depth look into the murder of UNF student Nicholas Hare, which happened in the fall. All this and more can be found on unfspinnaker.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media and download our app as well. We are the UNF Spinnaker, and we're working for you.
Well, we're going to get into it right here. We've got some NFL free agency. A lot of moves have been made here in these first couple days. And the Jags are making some moves too. But we're going to talk about a trade that was made recently, moving DeMarco Murray to the Tennessee Titans. What do you guys think about that?
What a bigger you're an idiot or you're an idiot Chip Kelly move than that. I mean, after 1 year or 2, they just really just said, forget your. I mean, but it didn't make sense in Chip Kelly's offense. I think he being his own back now, I think that backfield was too many players. I think it's a good move. I think Tennessee's that's scary in the Jags.
Yeah.
The Jags division.
I would
now.
want to play him.
Yeah, Marcus Mariota and DeMarco Murray now.
And now they're going to get probably Tunzel in the draft.
Yeah.
So we'll have a left tackle to block.
That's a very
for him.
good point. So I mean, I think that's going to be a scary team. They're starting to build there. What do you think?
I mean, like they're just off. Like the Eagles are just offloading any sort of like Chip Kelly people that they're bringing in. It's just like they don't want that kind of offense around anymore. And they're just, I guess, like the Eagles tried to build a team through free agency probably like 3 or 4 years ago. They signed like Cullen Jenkins, a couple other guys. They called it the Dream Team.
Yeah.
I think they went 10-6. They missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
But the most interesting factor I thought with DeMarco Murray being traded was that his agency, when they tweeted out the photo of him like he's been acquired by the Titans, they used a photo of him in a Cowboys uniform. Like his agency kind of like didn't acknowledge that he was an Eagle for a brief moment.
Well, they shouldn't. Did you see those numbers that we just put up? I mean,
he only had 700 yards in Philadelphia, whereas he led the NFL in rushing when he was in Dallas.
Yeah.
So I don't blame him for doing that. But another big name is Brock Osweiler, and he's in a little bit of a competition, or the two teams are in a competition right now between the Texans and the Broncos.
Yeah, I just saw a tweet. It looks like it's not as likely that the Broncos are going to get him back, which I think is dumb. I think they should sign him. He was under Peyton. Why'd you keep him for 4 years? So he can groom under Peyton and beat you with another team now? I mean, I don't think Brock Osweiler is going to be the next Peyton Manning, obviously. And I think it was crazy that they thought Peyton Manning should sit behind him during the season. And I know he was hurt, but there was talks about that. But, I mean, give the guy a shot with you guys. You got the best defense in the NFL, in my opinion. Why wouldn't you give him a shot?
Well, who else are they going to go after now?
Kaepernick now, they're saying.
Kaepernick?
Which is a mess.
Yeah, I would say the Brock Osweiler situation is very similar to Matt Flynn.
Yeah.
With the Packers, where Flynn only had he had 2 games. He had 1 game in like 2010, the year that the Packers went to the Super Bowl. Rodgers was out with a concussion, and Flynn comes in and almost beats the Patriots.
And puts record numbers up.
Minus an almost fat man touchdown by Dan Connolly.
The Lions, too. He had a game against the Lions where he threw like
the next year,
500 yards.
He breaks all the passing records, like single-game pass records in Packers history. And they get like a shootout with the Lions in the 17th game, and like that gives Matt Flynn his paycheck. My first thought was the Packers might have the room to franchise tag him and then trade him to at least get something out of him. Instead, he goes into free agency, gets the biggest payday, and he turns out being back at the Packers when a couple years ago Rodgers is out with the broken collarbone, and Matt Flynn comes in and saves the season.
Well, Matt Flynn, he went to Seattle, and then they drafted a little-known guy called Russell Wilson.
Right. And then he went to the
Who
Ravens.
completely-
Raiders.
So-
But let's talk about the Jaguars, man. Come on.
wanna get into the Jaguars?
We got some
Let's get into the
Jaguars
Jaguars.
trades. I texted him last night and said, we want to talk about the Jaguars right now.
Well, go ahead. You introduce it then.
Malik Jackson signed $90 million 6 years yesterday. And I do not like this acquisition at all. You got a guy getting paid quarterback money with 5 sacks last year. And let me tell you something, guys. Sorry, I'm a little angry today about this whole UNF
Let you have
segment.
this one.
And let me tell you something. 5 sacks, but you know who's on one side? Von Miller. You know who's on the other? DeMarcus Ware. Those two are getting double teamed. This guy's got one guy on him. He's probably the center, who's the slowest guy on the field. And he's getting 5 sacks, and we're going to pay him quarterback money. We'll see how he does with the Jaguars. I mean, I hope he turns out well, but that was ridiculous. I understand you have to overpay to go to the Jaguars, but that's a little ridiculous. I'd rather get a Bruce Irvin here and another player there and a Vernon here, but I just, what do you guys see? I don't know.
I mean, it's the same thing last year. They just opened the checkbook for that one free agent, and it was Julius Thomas.
Yeah.
That was like.
But
Also
he,
from the
he
Broncos.
produced, though. He produced
he was-
in
After
Denver.
he was, hurt
yeah,
for
but
most of the season.
he was part of the best offense in NFL history. Like
Yeah.
that was Julius Thomas's bread. Like that's how he made his name. And the same thing with Eric Decker. He left for get a payday with the Jets. It
Yeah.
was just,
But he's
But
still
Eric
playing
Decker,
good.
Eric Decker is very, very
Yeah.
good though. Probably even better with the Jets now.
and I think when you have such a great offense where like you have so many weapons and you have a quarterback like Peyton Manning, that can prop up a guy who might not be that good.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the same thing where if I remember it was like Antonio Freeman.
Well,
left.
Deion Branch is a prime example of that. So, but another guy that the Jaguars signed yesterday was Chris Ivory. They waived Toby Gerhart. I love Chris Ivory, but they're paying him a lot of money. Do you think it's worth it?
So the Jaguars have a lot of money to spend. So, I mean, they have to pay more money to get these guys, because who wants to come to Jacksonville in all seriousness? We're not fooling anyone. I mean, we're not winning a winning team, and they want to get their
But we're
payday.
a building team. See,
But-
people look at us and they say this team is going in the right direction. They have the pieces. They
Are
want
they
to be a
saying
part
that,
of.
or is the people in Jacksonville saying that?
I feel like people are saying that. We've got Talvin Smith. We've got Allen Robinson, who's an All-Pro this year. We've got Blake Bortles, who looked pretty good. He set franchise
But
numbers.
it doesn't matter all the numbers you put up. You lose to a 41-year-old Matt Haskell.
Yeah,
So you're choking games away, and it's I've always since coming down here in 2014, the Jaguars I think have everything right except for the actual football being played on the field. It's very inconsistent. You really don't know if what team is going to show up. Like I went to a Thursday night game where they decided to wear uniforms that looked like beer.
Yeah.
But they didn't play until the fourth quarter when our punt return basically saved that game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was watching that game.
like,
That was pretty bad.
The Colts game where their defense and their special teams were able to run roughshod through the Colts, and the Colts made the mistakes that they didn't make in the first game. But they win in London, but you also have those games where they just blow it. It's just not. It's not good. Like the first game of the year they just get. I think it was it the first game of the year they got basically.
With Cam Newton,
Yeah, they just, and then the next game they beat the Dolphins. It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, it's inconsistent. And Malik Jackson, I completely understand what he's doing. He's already got his ring, so he's just coming here to get his pay now.
Yeah.
26 years old. I
Do you
like
blame
it.
him?
I don't blame him at all, but I don't know why we're signing him for $90 million when he has 5 sacks. And he played on the best defense where the defensive ends were getting double teamed. Now, Ole Vernon, if he gets put in the system, we're going to pay more for him, obviously, because he's put up more numbers and he's younger. I think that would be a successful offseason. You talked about the running back, Ivory. I like it because it's kind of what you wanted in Toby Gerhart, and I think he's produced more. Granted, he had the worst game against the Jaguars, 26 yards when we played him this year. But I think that him with Yeldon is a good 1-2 punch. Not the most, sexy name, Chris Ivory, where you got free agents as Doug Martin coming on, Matt Forte. But Forte's not going to go to the Jags. I think he'll go to a contender. So I think it was good for what we were looking for.
All right, so we're going to move into a little bit of discussion now. We're going to talk about our top 5 quarterbacks of all time. And Ryan, I'm going to have you start this off. Who do you have at your number 5 position?
Number 5, and I don't know if you guys have this guy on your list. I'm going to go with Steve Young. Steve Young, San Francisco 49ers. Obviously, he had Jerry Rice, and that's the big thing of why he wasn't the biggest name. And I don't think he's going to be on your guys' list. But 3 Super Bowls, MVP of one of them. I think he's a great. He could run. He could throw. Exciting guy. And I think he's a Hall of Famer, and I think he's one of the best. If I would pick a quarterback, he would definitely be my top 5 to be my starting quarterback.
John, who do you have?
My number 5 is Brett Favre. Like, I might be a little bit biased because I'm a Packers fan.
Absolutely not.
Of course.
I think he's a great quarterback.
But the main thing is that he won 3 straight MVPs in the mid-'90s with the Packers. Like, got that Super Bowl, got to the next one, and then John Elway magic took over from there.
Yeah, of course.
But his ability to put up numbers and consistency was great. And then, granted, he had a great defense with like Reggie White, and then you have a Desmond Howard to throw to and stuff like that. But
there was also this certain aura about him that was just he kind of had that like Derek Jeter effect where he was just this icon in football for a while.
And then the thing that always impressed me was that he made up for his mistakes. The Packers would win, and you look at his numbers, like this guy threw for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. Like that's and then the longevity is the most impressive feat about Brett Favre, is that he was able to start so many games in a row. Granted, he might not remember half of those starts now, but it's his ability to continually get back onto the field.
Absolutely.
I remember like just still growing up with that team, and even going into like the 2000s when they were kind of petering off, and every now and then they get back in the title shot. But he would always get hurt right before a bye week. Like a normal guy, even after a bye week, wouldn't be able to come back from. Like he'd break his thumb. And so he'd come back after the bye week with like a sleeve on it and still be slinging the ball left
Absolutely.
and right.
At age 43. So who do you got?
I've got Johnny Unitas. Johnny Unitas, I think, was really a revolutionary quarterback. He kind of opened up what is the quarterback position today.
Absolutely.
So I think in that sense, you have to include him on this list because there's that legend about him, and he's just also that guy who really set the trend and started going along with it. So he's a great quarterback, and I think you're going to talk about him in a little bit as well. But moving on, who do you have as your number 4?
I have Brett Favre as my number 4. I think he's the definition of a gunslinger.
So you have him higher than the Packers fan over
The
here.
4 makes sense though.
No, I mean the guy is, you know, if you're going to pick a quarterback to be on your team, I wouldn't think of a lot of quarterbacks above Brett Favre. I really wouldn't. I mean, Brett Favre is a constant professional. So.
All right, so who do you have?
Number 4 for me was Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
Yeah, even though he's a current guy, like the guy wins. It was somebody who, like, he took over a team that really didn't expect much out of him. You draft him in the 6th round, 199th overall pick. He runs a 5.2 in the combine. It's a guy who's like, and with his oversized XXX T-shirt.
Gets in because of
Bledsoe getting hurt, and he just takes over a team from there. Granted, Bill Belichick built a great system around him to the point that Matt Castle can go 10-6 in that Patriots system, but Tom Brady just wins. And he even had up until Peyton Manning 2 or 3 years ago, he had the best statistical season of any quarterback ever.
Yep. Well, I had John Elway. I think John Elway, he probably had the strongest arm of any quarterback that ever played the game. He really threw the ball in there and put it on. And, you know, there's the drive, there's the helicopter spin, the back-to-back Super Bowls at the end of his career. He really was that prodigy that came out of Stanford. And so I put him up there. He's also, I think, like 4th on the all-time list when it comes to passing yards. So I think to me, he is one of the all-time greats. But moving on, who do you have at number 3?
I got Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning, number 3. I personally, he's my favorite player ever to play the game. I grew up loving Peyton Manning, but the numbers don't lie with the 2 guys I have in front. So I think Peyton Manning, the numbers that he had is impressive, but I'm talking about Super Bowls, and I think that was his one issue. I don't think he won this last one for them. I think it was great that he went out like that, but I don't think it was him. So I got Peyton Manning at 3.
Who do you got?
I got Unitas at 3. It's just like he just revolutionized the pro pocket passer style of quarterback. He had records that stood up until like when Brett Favre broke them in the late 2000s, where it's just the guy put up numbers. Colts were a winner, and then I mean, granted, Joe Namath stopped him in the one Super Bowl that they had a chance in, but he revolutionized how defenses schemed for quarterbacks and how really an offense could run.
Yeah.
They took away the running quarterback aspect of the guy who just handed off or like run like you're like a wing T, and then we're gonna drop back pass like every other play.
Well, I've got Tom Brady. I moved him up a little bit higher than you had him, and I think it's really because he was not meant to be this good. And yet he's come in and he's won 4 Super Bowls, and he's won countless MVPs, and he just controls the game, and he just looks like there's nothing that's going to stop him. He's just one of those great quarterbacks, and I think by the end of his career, he might actually be higher on my list because he's still got time. Unlike Peyton Manning, who went out this year because his arm just started going out and injuries and whatnot. It looks like Tom Brady can really keep playing. It looks like he could play into his 40s
He
even.
signed an extension that would end when he was 42.
Exactly. So, but who do you have at number 2?
Number 2, I have Tom Brady. I think he is the number 1 player, and I could have him potentially being number 1, like you said, because he makes the best with nothing. He makes great teams look good with little receivers. I mean, you're talking Julian Edelman. I don't see him being in the Hall of Fame like Jerry Rice.
The only big receiver he ever
is
had was Gronkowski
and Randy Moss.
Yeah,
and I think he really, I think Randy Moss is a great receiver, Hall of Famer. But I think he really made a lot. Didn't really have a running game ever. They always shipped around running backs, and I think really just makes his team fantastic. So that's my number 2.
Who do you got at number 2?
Number 2, I had, hold on, my contact's going out of me. I had Peyton Manning as my number 2. Just look back at my list there. Well, it's just the sheer numbers he was able to put up in only 18 years, and granted, he missed one of those years with like neck surgery. So Peyton Manning, just sheer numbers, his ability to win in the regular season. Granted, his playoff record, if you look at anybody, it's not good.
Yeah.
But his ability to put up big numbers, and then he gets the 2 Super Bowls. You're right, the last Super Bowl, the defense won that one. Like that was, it might have been one of the worst quarterback performances next to Russell Wilson when they beat the Broncos in the Super Bowl in terms of like statistically. But Peyton Manning, just like when he gets onto the field, he makes everybody around him better.
All right, well, I might shock you guys a little bit with my number 2, but I've got Joe Montana there. And that's because I've got another guy ahead of him. But I think Joe Montana, when it comes to the playoffs, I think he was one of the most incredible quarterbacks, and especially in the Super Bowl. I think I saw a stat that was like he was 11 for 0 for touchdowns, interceptions. So I think he is really one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. And up until this next guy that I'm going to bring up later was just the best. But who do you have at number 1?
All right, we got to speed up. But I got Joe Montana, obviously the best quarterback ever to live. I think that's no question. Super Bowls are the answer right there. Who you got, buddy?
Got Joe Montana
Yeah,
as well.
you got to. I mean, the best quarterback ever to live.
Like in terms of a winner, you think of him.
He really revolutionized the 2-minute drive. He really, when it came to game-winning drives, he was that guy.
And Super Bowl winning.
And Super Bowl wins, too. I've got Peyton Manning. I think Peyton Manning, when you look at it statistically, he is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. He owns pretty much all of the quarterback records. He's the all-time wins leader. And he's got 2 Super Bowls under his belt. People really, get after him for not being a good postseason player. When you look at his postseason record, it's 14-13. He's done a great job. But we're running out of time here, so we're going to get right into ballers and dudes. Baller, baller is who's done well this week, and a dude is somebody who really hasn't. Who do you have?
You go first.
I'll go first. Peyton Manning is my baller. He, like I was just saying, revolutionized the game. He brought in calling the game really from the line of scrimmage. Other quarterbacks have now integrated that into their game and have really been, this revolutionary person for the NFL. He set all of these records. He's done so well with this. So I hope he has a happy retirement, and I hope everything goes well for him after this with Papa John's and Budweiser. So there we go.
He texted me saying, I want Peyton Manning. And I said, okay, Alex. I'm taking Peyton Manning. I mean, the guy's a constant professional, and I think hats off to a great career. I think one of the best, obviously we talk about ever to live, and a class act as well. So I definitely think, happy retirement to him. So his retirement speech was something else as well.
Who do you have?
I guess my baller is going to be completely out of left field here, but it's going to be Ja'Shawn Page, the 6th man of the year in the Big 12 out of West Virginia, my alma mater. The team has, Bob Huggins has changed how they completely played the last 2 years with press Virginia attitude. You run a full court press basically and run traps all the different times throughout the game. Ja'Shawn Page has come off the bench as a guy who really was a nobody coming out of JUCO and has just put up numbers, played great defense, and a team that could make some noise in the Big 12 tournament even until unless they face.
Are they going to be dancing, you think, West Virginia?
Absolutely. I mean, they're number 9 in the country right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
If they win the Big 12 tournament, which is going to be very, very tough, but I think they'll be like a 2 or 3 seed if they do well in the Big 12 tournament. They've only ever done well once in a postseason tournament when they won the Big East in 2010, but they'll keep going and they'll be a good team come tournament time.
Well, I'm going to get into my dude right now, and it's going to be cleat chasers and check chasers. Brock Osweiler was involved in a TMZ type of incident this past weekend, and I've watched the video, and it really looks, number one, whoever gets him next should be impressed because he won't fumble the ball. He held on to that pizza like there's no tomorrow, so that's a good thing for him. But it really looked like he was trying to protect his wife. He was trying to do the right thing, and he was trying to, the guys came up to him, were getting in his face, and he walked away. Now, he had a little shove to a woman at the time, but he was, like I said, he was trying to protect his wife. He was doing what he needed to during that time, and I applaud him for walking away from that situation. But who do you have as your dude? Is that what you're gonna say?
We're going to the NIT, so I hope we make some noise. We might play Florida, but it was a rough week. It was definitely a rough week. I mean, it was. I'm an Osprey fan. Hats off to Driscoll. A great season, but it was a rough week. So I'm not gonna shy away from it.
Who do you got?
I have the Louisville Athletic Department as my dude because they because they decided to tank one of the best seasons they could have had under Patino by ruining everything years earlier. They bring in 2 transfers who felt like, oh, this is our chance. Like, we're going to get a championship out of this. Like, we're going to get some rings. We're going to drop a banner. We go out well as seniors. No. 5 years before, five games before, because of 5 years before, like five games before the end of the regular season, they put in like the postseason ban, and just like everything's tanked.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
Like so you have 2 of the best, like 2 of the highest RPI teams in terms of records with Louisville and SMU not being able to go in the tournament.
Yeah, it's sad.
All right, well, that's all we've got for you today. Thank you for joining us here on Spinnaker Television.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, John. Yep. Have a wonderful day, and as always, go Ospreys.
Have a safe spring break, too. Alex isn't going on spring break.
No,
He's going to be here.
I'm lame.